Good morning. I hope you can hear me clearly. My name is Lukundo Amaningo from Tax Education Division, and I'd like to welcome you again to this training session on understanding eTIMS. I hope everyone is well where they are from, and I hope you can hear me clearly where you're from. And I'm very happy and glad that you have taken your time to actually join this session today. And as I said earlier, as people were joining, we are going to start with a word of prayer. And I'd like to request Faith Cheptile to pray for us.
Let's pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this meeting. We pray that you may bless as we start this meeting. We have an understanding of the presentation. Just thank you for our speaker of the day. We pray that you may give them wisdom to lead us well in this meeting. In Jesus' name, pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Faith Cheptile, for that prayer. And today we are going to talk about understanding eTIMS. We have our host today, who is Liz Vera from the eTIMS department, and our sign language interpreter, who is Faith Cheptile. And I'd like for us to just have like 5 minutes, just get to put down your expectations in regards to eTIMS. I'd like to know that on the chat box. So by 11:12, we get to now start this session officially. So if you have any eTIMS query, you can just type on the chat box, and I can see people are joining from different places, different areas. I can see Martha Wekesa. Thank you so much for just joining this session. I do promise that it's going to be a very interactive and informative session this morning. I can see Lynn. I can actually see Mariam, Fred Mayo, James, Liz, Evans Barasa. Thank you so much for just taking your time to join this session. As I said, it's going to be very interactive. So we have to just keep it very interactive. Make sure as this session is ending, you have been answered your question. Yes, I can see Amina has already typed actually the question. So I'd like to insist or kwa Kiswahili tunasema kusisitiza. Since we are talking about understanding eTIMS, kindly have your questions on eTIMS related. Like we need them to be eTIMS related questions. I am really suggesting that. I can see Kobia Mishek from Kenya, who's saying, will the presentation PowerPoint be shared after? Yes, please. You can actually share your email on the chat box. We shall email the presentation to you personally. Thank you so much, Kobia. If you have any question, we get to start at officially 11:12 a.m. And please remember, we are here for you as tax education, and we do have our social media pages, and we are actually live on KRA TV. You can actually log in to YouTube KRA TV. On our social media pages, we have Facebook KRA TV, Stories are Ushuru, Instagram. So kindly just tune in into KRA TV. You get to have your questions there. I can be able to see and read it out. Okay. We have 1 minute to time, so keep the questions coming. Thank you so much for just joining this session. And I promise it's going to be very, very interactive, very informative. Okay, I'd like for Liz Vera, the host, to actually introduce herself. Liz Vera, the floor is yours. Thank you. Liz Vera, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lou, for the introduction and for introducing our subject of today. And my name is Liz Vera. I'll be your presenter for today. As Lou has guided, it's going to be a very interactive session. It's not going to be the normal presentation mode where we just present and then we expect you to give us questions. So feel free to ask questions in between. We plan to make it more interactive by showing you some practical ways of going about some of the issues that will be raised. So I hope that it's going to be a better session for all of us who have taken their time to join in. So without further much ado, I think we'll get into the presentation. So basically what we are going to cover today will benefit those who have not had an interaction with the system or those who have newly registered their VAT obligation, or even if you have had one of our sessions before, then probably you'll benefit from the Q&A session. So it's going to cover both parties, for those who have never had a session with us and those who this is not their first time. So what is eTIMS, or what is eTIMS here to do? So we all know that eTIMS is the stage 2 of rolling out of the electronic invoicing system. So initially, the KRA rolled out TIMS, which is the tax invoice management system, to cater for transfer of invoices electronically to the authority. So from the feedback we received from both internal and external stakeholders, and also from our statistics on the number of taxpayers who are not coming on board, we did a lot of benchmarking with the best practices in the market, and we decided to include eTIMS as an additional option for invoicing. Of course, as a revenue authority, we are also here to facilitate trade and also to make sure that we are making compliance easier for the taxpayers. So for that category of taxpayers who had not onboarded TIMS, we felt that giving an additional option would bring them on board. So that's when we decided that eTIMS would be a good option for the invoicing, for VAT registered taxpayers. So most taxpayers, especially those who onboarded towards the deadline of onboarding TIMS, are constantly asking what is the difference between the TIMS regime and eTIMS, because they don't understand why initially we were advocating for TIMS, and then after a few months now we are here with eTIMS. So the basic difference, or the main difference between TIMS and eTIMS, is that TIMS is basically device-based, where you must buy the TIMS compliant devices so that you can be able to invoice, whereas the eTIMS provides for affordable solution for taxpayers to do their invoicing. So with eTIMS, as we learn into the presentation, is that we basically encourage taxpayers to download a software into whichever computing device that they are having. So eTIMS majorly is targeting the active VAT registered taxpayers who are not onboarded on TIMS. But with time, we are going to change this narrative, because we know that the Finance Act has also stated that for all your invoicing, or rather all your tax invoices, they must be supported from an eTIMS device. So this is what we were saying earlier, but with some presentations that we'll do going forward, this narrative is about to change. But at the moment, we are saying that it's basically for VAT registered taxpayers. So just to give a brief history, is that for eTIMS, we began the rollout in February this year. It has been ongoing, and we have successfully rolled out the project. So most of our VAT registered taxpayers are on eTIMS and TIMS. Next slide. So what are the objectives of eTIMS? Of course, we know with every project that a team embarks on, there has to be objectives, or what the intention of the project is. So the first intention, which is also our main mandate, is to collect revenue. And of course, we believe that with eTIMS, we will increase our tax revenues. There are some loopholes that we are likely to seal, especially with the auto population coming into place that will be rolled out in a few months. eTIMS has also been an additional option for taxpayers to do invoicing, as I had introduced that TIMS was basically device-based, and it was not taking care of taxpayers who would wish to do their integrations with their softwares and also just to do their invoicing without purchasing the devices. eTIMS is also going to minimize the cost of compliance because currently the software is freely downloadable from our KRA website, and there are minimal costs to it because we believe that for every business there has to be at least one computing device, meaning that either you have a phone, a laptop, a PDA, you either have a computer, a desktop. So from the computing devices that you're having, then you're likely to download the software so that you can be able to do invoicing. eTIMS, again, we are saying will increase the compliance and accountability for the taxpayers, because from eTIMS, we are able to have an end-to-end kind of end-to-end visibility of what the taxpayers are doing. Sorry. It's also a groundwork to expand the reach to taxpayers in other tax heads, especially for guys who are dealing with TOT and MRI who we are bringing on board currently. So we believe also with the data that we receive, we are also likely to map up taxpayers so that we stop this narrative of Kenyans always saying that the taxman is already taxing people who are overburdened. So we are also trying to recruit other people from informal sectors. And of course, with data, we know that you can be able to read in between the lines and you can always know a lot and bring people on board. The other aspect is that eTIMS is also trying to address the missing trader phenomena. We know that there are a certain group of taxpayers who claim fictitious invoices, and also they have briefcase companies, and this has also led into revenue loss. So with data being transferred electronically and us having visibility to some extent, then we believe that we'll be able to reduce to a greater extent the missing trader phenomena. Next slide. So what are the benefits to the VAT registered taxpayers? So the first benefit is that we believe that there will be a fair business environment, in that we have had several complaints from taxpayers saying that most often customers patronize certain businesses because they charge less or they do not put VAT on their products or their services. Yet those same taxpayers are also coming in to claim their input tax. So from our side, we are saying that if your invoices are not electronically transferred through our compliant devices or softwares, then you will not be allowed to claim input tax. And this will also affect taxpayers when we finally roll out auto-population, in that if you have not transferred your invoices electronically, then they will not be auto-populated in your VAT return. So the other benefit here is that there is already flexibility of the devices to support taxpayers at a minimal cost. We have discussed it in the previous slide, where we are saying that whichever computing device that is available for you, you can be able to use the same for invoicing. The third benefit there is that there will be faster transfer of VAT refunds. The only part the only reason, or one of the reasons why the VAT refunds take a prolonged duration or some time, is that they have to do physical verification of the documents that taxpayers submit to us. So part of it is that our data is being transferred electronically, and of course this is KRA, and we work with other departments. The refunds department will be able to get those sales records from our side, and there will be minimal time taken during the verification process. We believe that when we facilitate taxpayers to get their refunds in good time, then in that way we have also facilitated trade. The other benefit is that our eTIMS has also come with a stock management module that is also assisting taxpayers to keep an eye on their inventory. The stock management module is very explicit and it's simple, and most people call it rich because it has a lot of input. So with the introduction of the stock module, we are both benefiting, and especially for the taxpayers. I have mentioned severally here that there will be auto-population. That simply means there will be pre-filled VAT returns. So after a certain time, because I don't have the exact timelines, you will be finding all your sales records on your VAT return. If you had if you had imported anything that is related to your business, it will be already populated on your return, and any other tax any other tax information that will affect your tax liability. So that is work in progress, and of course, we will be able to update taxpayers once this is done. The last benefit there is non-intrusive verification of the tax processes. At times, our audit team, our compliance team have to constantly go to the taxpayers' premises to verify some of these details whenever there's an audit or a query or a compliance check. But we are saying that with the details with us and us having all the data that is required, then we don't have to physically go to a taxpayer's premise for them to allocate us time and space so that we can be able to do the verification. So for the benefits to the government and KRA, this is straightforward. I will just brush over. First, we're saying that there will be enhanced revenue collection. There will be authentic VAT refunds paid because currently we cannot verify most of, we can verify, but ideally the authenticity of those refunds sometimes are questionable because the burden of proof lies on the taxpayer's side. So with this data sitting with us, that will already give us a clear picture of what is going out there, and we'll be able to give authentic VAT refunds. There will be improved ease of doing business. There will be good governance in the field of taxation. There will be improved ability to forecast revenue collection. Of course, you know, when you talk about data, data is king, and the future is data, and everything is data. So if you're not talking data at the moment, you have to know that in the near future, data will be determining every aspect of your life. So with this data, with having with us having this data, will even forecast our revenue collection. We'll also use it to determine how much we will be able to collect in subsequent months. So we can do a lot of data analytics on the data we have so that we can be able to make informed choices. The other part is that there will be economic analysis and prediction based on accurate data. Again, we go back to data because with that data, if we get accurate data, and of course with data cleaning and data analytics, we can be able to do a lot of prediction and also do economic analysis and even advise other government entities that also rely on us. So just a brief example there is that because even we give advice to Treasury, we'll be having discussions where we can be able to tell them which goods are consumed more in this country, which goods are imported more often from where, so that these can also inform other activities or other informed decisions. So to KRA, we are saying that there will be enhanced efficiency in service delivery. There will be reduction in the VAT fiscal fraud. This has been a menace that we are dealing with. And there will be timely transfer of fiscal data because we are saying that whenever you're generating a tax invoice, data is transferred in real time or near real time. There will be enhanced tax compliance, reduction in compliance management costs, where we have said that ideally you don't have to go to a taxpayer's premise, they allocate you time, space, and resources to do verification. Some of these things can be done at the comfort of your office without physically going to the taxpayer's premise. There will be enhanced revenue collection, tax-based expansion, because again, we still go back to data where we are saying that the data we have can also give us more insight on what other people are doing. And again, we are saying there will be enhanced analytics and risk management, which is currently ongoing, and we have benefited a lot from what we are doing now. So what are the benefits to the general public? That is you and I out of the office. We say that there is a lot of trust that will be built between the customers and the business entities that they patronize. So you find that you go to these business entities that you patronize and they give you a tax invoice, they have charged you VAT, and you honestly don't have a way to verify that that VAT that they have charged you will reach the relevant authority. So part of the inclusions that we have done is that on a tax invoice, there's a QR code that you can be able to verify if a tax invoice is valid or not. So eTIMS also gives you confidence that if you get a tax invoice, and we encourage the public to always ensure that whenever you buy and you're charged VAT, it is your right to get a tax invoice that is valid and has the necessary features that we'll talk about in this presentation. So if you buy and you get your tax invoice and you can validate it, then it brings a little trust, or at least you'll have trust between that business entity that they are collecting from you, and yes, they will remit. The other benefit is that it also encourages to participate in enhancing tax compliance, because most of our taxpayers have also helped us in this sector, where whenever they go to purchase a product, they have to ensure that they're given a tax invoice. So most of the business entities and companies are also, their tax compliance rates are also increasing. There's also all the times we say that our adage is kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. If every one of us is able to pay their fair share of taxes, then I believe that we can be using that same tax to better the country. Next slide. So what is the eligibility criteria for eTIMS? We have talked about what eTIMS is, where we are coming from, why we are here. So who entirely should onboard eTIMS? And again, I will talk about this slide with a disclaimer, because this is about to change, because we are rolling out eTIMS to other tax heads. So the first category of taxpayers that should onboard eTIMS include the taxpayers who do not, or who have not onboarded TIMS by upgrading their initial ETR machines. So the other category includes taxpayers. The other category include taxpayers who are in the process of complying but were facing challenges, especially those who could not integrate because they had like the legacy systems that were not compatible with the TIMS compliant devices. So due to that complexity, they were not able to come on board. So that is a category we are targeting. We are also targeting a category of taxpayers who have businesses but are technologically challenged, and they do not have computers, or they do manual invoicing. So the manual invoicing includes the people who write their invoices they still write like manually. They take a piece of paper and write their invoices. That's the manual invoicing we are talking about. The other category includes taxpayers who deal in bulk invoicing and are facing performance issues with invoice transmission. So we realized that we had a certain category of taxpayers who are doing bulk invoicing, and these are entities that most Kenyans subscribe to them, and they would not really use our TIMS compliant devices. So they were the first people we were targeting when we were talking about eTIMS, because with eTIMS, as we learn in the presentation, is that we have a module that is able to integrate system to system, from KRA system to the taxpayer's system. Then, of course, the last category includes the voluntary taxpayers who are joining eTIMS. Either they were on TIMS, but for one reason or the other, they are voluntarily coming on to join eTIMS. So before even we move forward, Brenda, we'll just look at a few questions as we move on, so that we see if we can tackle in between. So George is asking, when I use eTIMS invoicing through my laptop, do I file my monthly VAT return through eTIMS or through iTax? So George, that's a nice question, and I'll just take this opportunity to differentiate the two. So eTIMS is an invoicing system and not a filing system. So when you're filing your returns, you go to iTax and file your returns as you have always been doing. So the eTIMS platform is basically used to do invoices. So it is just a point of sale where you generate your invoices, and also you can do other things, as we will learn in this presentation. So Liz is also asking, I have the login details for my eTIMS account, but never got to go past the first step of logging in. I hope this session will be able to solve that. So Liz, after logging in, ideally you were supposed to create your items and then you generate a tax invoice. So we were trying to make this session to be interactive by having a live demonstration. But Brenda will advise if our systems are up so that we can be able to do the same, so that we can be able to guide you. In the event that this is not possible, we have already published user guides, videos on YouTube that could help you. Or if you're not able to go through the same, then you can still join us or in any KRA office. So I believe we can go ahead and do the presentation, and then we finish, and then we come to the questions. Yes, Brenda, next. So from that short break now, we go to the eTIMS software solutions that are available. So it's important to note that depending on the goods or services you're selling, depending on your frequency of invoicing, depending on the services you're offering, that will determine the solution that will be best appropriate for you. So for the first solution, we are saying we have eTIMS PayPoint windows. This is suitable, especially for taxpayers who are selling goods in a single location. So you could be having a single location with a single PayPoint or till, then these would be applicable to you, because you can be able to do your invoicing, and once the installation is done on your computing device. So it can either be done on your laptop or desktop, whichever you have. And then we are saying that there are minimal requirements that the devices must have. One, the Windows has to be Windows 10 and above operating system, and also the memory has to be large enough to accommodate the software, and it also contains the stock management module. The second software solution is that the eTIMS multi-pay point, where we are saying it is suitable for taxpayers selling goods, and this is best suitable for taxpayers who have multiple cashier tills. So it runs on a computer or a laptop with Windows 10 and above operating system. And these would be best applicable to businesses like supermarkets, where you go and there are several cashiers, and they also sell goods from one stock, and they are connected within one network. The third option there is the eTIMS PayPoint Android. This is suitable for taxpayers selling goods and can be installed on a tablet with Android version 8 and above operating system. And it also contains the stock management module. So from the three options that we have discussed, you can clearly tell the reason why you would take eTIMS PayPoint Android and not eTIMS PayPoint Windows. So if ideally you're selling, the frequency of you doing your invoices is a lot, then you'd not choose the Android so that it can be installed on your tablet or on your phone because of the interface. So again, while choosing the software solutions, as much as both can be used for goods, you also have to look at some aspects of your business so that these can inform which device you're going to install the software on. So another example to help you know which device would best suit you is that let's say you're a person who does like 100 invoices in an hour. So just by installing it on your phone, the interface would take you more time to generate invoices. But if you do it on maybe a desktop or a tablet or a laptop, then it will be faster and it would also be user friendly. So the UI UX is also a matter when you're choosing the software, the computing device where the software should be installed. Next slide. So the other option here is the eTIMS online portal. And this is from the feedback that we have had, this has been a savior for most of those taxpayers who sell services and they don't invoice frequently. So for the eTIMS online portal, this is suitable for taxpayers who only deal with services. So we didn't want a scenario where you're generating one invoice in a year and maybe you're just in the service sector and you have to get a device so that you can be able to download the software. So for service people, then they can be able to log into the web portal and be able to generate invoices, and it is not device specific because it is a web-based application. We have the eTIMS Lite that is suitable for taxpayers in the service sectors and do not sell supply of goods. And ideally, the idea behind the eTIMS Lite was that it was supposed to support entities that had branches, where you're saying that you have people, the stock is put in the branch or the HQ, and then people can be able to sell from wherever they are. So you can have stock like entities that have people or their salespeople moving around in vans selling, or they have an event and they are enabling their salespeople to sell while moving around. So this was the idea behind the eTIMS Lite. The last option, which is currently most sought by entities that have their own POS, is the virtual sales control unit and the online sales control unit. So this provides for a system-to-system integration between the taxpayers billing system and KRA. So the main difference between virtual sales control unit and online sales control unit is that for virtual sales control unit, you can be able to generate invoices when you're offline. But for online sales control unit, you have to be connected to internet for you to raise invoices. So that will also inform taxpayers when they are choosing during what they will choose during their system to system integration. So if you know that you have stable internet and you're always on internet, and that connectivity is not an issue to you, it's not a problem to you, then choosing OSCU will be good for you. But remember, for virtual sales control unit, you can be able to generate invoices while you're offline, and once you restore connectivity, then invoices will automatically be transmitted to KRA. So currently, just a brief background on that is that we have third-party integrators testing to be our integrators, so that they can be able to help taxpayers with the integration. So that is currently ongoing. We are yet to publish the first people who have completed the test and have been vetted by the authorization committee. And very soon we'll publish the list on our website, so that taxpayers who are interested in getting the third-party integrators can be able to choose whoever they want to work with. So what is the onboarding procedure? We have talked about eTIMS, the different solutions that are available, who qualifies for eTIMS. So then the question here is, how should I proceed to onboard eTIMS? So the step is very simple. You only need to be a VAT registered taxpayer as of now. But remember, we are opening it up to other tax heads. So then the VAT registered taxpayer signs up on the eTIMS portal and makes an application for their preferred software option. So the taxpayer can only select one software option at any given time. So you cannot say you want to be on VSCU, you want to be on tablet, or you want to be online. So the choice is limited to one. The second step there is an authorized KRA officer will process the application by conducting some due diligence through a KYT interview to determine some of the ways of advising you on the best solution. So it is not about us denying you a solution that you want, but it is for your own benefit. So the things we look at basically includes the nature of business. So if you are purely in service industries, then basically we would advise you to onboard eTIMS online. So if you sell goods and services, then we will not approve you for the online portal. So we will give you an alternate. The frequency of invoicing, as we have talked about, this determines to a large extent which device the software will be installed on, and if the taxpayer has access to a computing device. So if you have a laptop, a computer, a tablet, then that will inform which software we are going to install for you. Then if you have access to internet, of course, we have talked about reliability when you're talking about OSTU. So that is also a factor we consider when we are approving you for whichever eTIM solution that you have applied for. The beauty about this process is that whenever a taxpayer has not selected the best option, we are able to reject the task with reasons, with guidance, so that the taxpayer can make an amendment for an approval. So it is not a casting stone where we are saying that if you make a mistake, then we are not going to approve you to onboard eTIMS. So if we feel that the choice was not well informed, or there are issues that we felt were not qualifying you for that option, then we during the rejection, then you'll find the issues noted there. And most of the times we try to call the taxpayers so that they can be aware of the rejection reasons, and we can guide them on how to reapply again. So the third step there is the KRA officer schedules a date and a time to install, configure, train the taxpayer on how to use the eTIMS software. So this happened mostly when we began, where we were saying that we had to train taxpayers physically, but we have noted over time that our taxpayers are basically going through the process without much intervention from our side. So we only install where a taxpayer is not able to do it, but most of our taxpayers currently are able to do the step from top to bottom. And of course, for training materials, we have published the user guides, the videos, well done videos on our website, so they can be able to guide you. And internally, what we have done is that we have capacitated all KRA officers in all stations. So you don't have to be in Nairobi to get support. You can go to any KRA office that is closest to you so that you can be able to get support, or you can always call us on the KRA phone numbers or write email addresses. But we have a dedicated team in every TSO that is able to facilitate taxpayers. Next slide. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. Now I believe that I can take it back to Lou to give us guidance even before we go to the Q&A session. Lou, back to you.
Thank you so much, Liz Vera. This has been an amazing presentation. I'd really want us to have the Q&A immediately, because I can see some of the taxpayers have burning questions in regards to eTIMS. So on your side, you can actually read out the questions for them to hear them clearly and answer them in depth.
Thank you, Lou, for that guidance. So we'll go straight into the questions. And I believe Lou will give you a chance, maybe if you feel that you want to talk, so she will guide you on that. So we'll go straight to the questions and pick it up from where we had left. Yeah, I can see someone asking, admin is asking, how do I save the receipt in my computer as A4 instead of printing it? So at the point, first, I would like to know which software you're using. So if you're using the client option, and either you're having, you've installed it on your phone or your desktop. So at the point of downloading it, you have an option of saving it. So the only client option that does not have the option of saving at the moment, because we are enhancing it, is the Android, which is installed on the mobile phone. But the other ones, you can be able to download and save it and even refer to it later. The beauty about eTIMS is that when you generate an invoice and maybe you didn't save it, you can still download it as many times as you want. But for the Android ones, those ones that are installed on the phone, currently you have to print directly, but we are enhancing it. It's an enhancement in progress where we are saying that we'll be able to download it and save it as a PDF, or just the normal documents that you save on your phone or on your computing devices. I will just go up again. All right, so someone is asking, I hope we are able to understand I hope you're able to understand how practical the eTIMS is, especially for the small scale retailers, because they may not understand. Yes, we get your concern, which is a valid concern, that the small scale retailers might not understand how to use it. But we are saying that from our side, we are trying to do a lot of stakeholder engagements. We are trying to put it out there so that we can make it simple. So if we get feedback on areas that we can simplify, or areas that we can teach taxpayers more or how to enhance the system, we'll appreciate. But in terms of complexity, we feel that it is simple, but of course we accept feedback. If you feel that there's a certain area that is not simple, we can always relook into it and make it better. Okay, so Edgar is asking, it keeps on throwing me back whenever someone types. Lou, I don't know if you can help with reading the questions. So maybe you want to start from after Edgar. Let me handle Edgar and then you pick from Edgar. So Edgar is asking, I would like to know how to create an invoice for international customer who are random and pay for online training service by cash or by bank transfer. Yes, Edgar, whichever type of customer you're dealing with, whether they're international, local, or whether they're paying by cash or bank, the process of generating an invoice is the same. So the only differentiating factor here is that if they're international, then probably they will not have a KRA PIN. So that way we are making provision such that you can, at the moment, the system allows you to put a mobile phone instead of a KRA PIN. So the process is the same. And for whichever payment method that they're going to use, whether it is cash or bank transfer, we believe that the cash will eventually reach you. So for us, we just want you to do the invoicing. And in case you're facing any challenges, then I think we can pick it off air. Back to you, Lou.
Thank you so much, Liz Vera. Let me read from Alois. Do you consider, it's actually moving as you said. I seem now to lost. Okay. Do you consider letting us change our password in the event we forget? This is because you take too long to reply email for password reset.
Apologies for that, because the taxpayer is saying we take too long to give that response. Actually, we are making an enhancement to enable you to password reset from your side. So yes, we allow you to reset passwords because I believe that the person who was assisting you for the first time just did it for you. But ideally, issues on password, you should be the one who is able to put your passwords. But yes, the system allows the taxpayer to change their password to their desired password. So that is correct. Back to you, Lou.
Good morning from anonymous attendee. What happens when you have generated an eTIMS invoice to a client and they fail to pay you? I'm in the rental business and I have such a case. Why does KRA want to remit the tax based on the KRA generated invoice if I haven't received the payment yet?
Yeah, that's a good concern, but I believe that the law has provisions for settling matters on bad debt. So for us, remember we have tax points where tax is due, but there are provisions that are guiding on how to pursue bad debts. And of course, we will be able, Lou has taken your details and we'll be able to guide you on how to do it. Back to you, Lou.
We have Caston Magero who's saying maybe you can highlight on eTIMS registration on online option, because we realize that it takes long time, and how long does it take for it to be approved?
So in terms of approval, I believe that the tasks come to our end and anybody can be able to do approvals from KRA. So if your task took long, apologies for that, Mr. Caxton, and you can always explore our communication channels so that the approval can be hastened. And on the eTIMS registration online, Lou will be able to advise if we have some time at the end of this presentation, if we can try again and see if we can be able to do a live demo just to see how the process goes for the benefit of our taxpayers who are yet to onboard eTIMS. Back to you, Lou.
Thank you so much, Liz Vera. We have Evans Barasa. He says, when claiming for VAT refunds, do you capture the seller's invoice number on KRA generated invoice number at the bottom that starts with CU?
Yeah, so the taxpayer is asking on the invoice numbers to use, and we have guided taxpayers that the correct invoice number to use is the system generated invoice number, that is the CU, which is the control unit invoice number. So that is the correct invoice number that should be used. Back to you, Lou.
Wilson Kenya is asking, okay, he is actually asking, we find the item codes restrictive, particularly on services. Any plans for expanding the codes, especially in the consultancy services?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the process, or rather the enhancement that is currently underway, is that we are going to include all the services and all the products that are sold in the country. So we realize that, and you're right on this, we realize that some of the products or services had been put in the broader categories. And some taxpayers are very particular in the type of service that they want auto-populated on their tax invoices. So we're in the process of adding more items and being specific and just widening the band so that we can incorporate everything. So again, that is work in progress, and of course it will get better and better as time goes by. Back to you, Lou.
Thank you so much. We have Jasper, eTIMS account registered as non-VAT, and the invoice is generated, shows tax as 0. How can this be changed?
Jasper, from what you're saying is that the tax invoice was generated, and I know there's a column there that shows non-VAT. So this happened in our system where we loaded data for taxpayers in other tax heads who don't have VAT. So yes, it is an enhancement in the system that affected how the invoice looks like. But if you're keen on that tax invoice, there's a tax that has been charged at 16%. So we are advising the taxpayers that they should concentrate on the calculation, and as we make the enhancements from our side, that for VAT registered taxpayers, the non-VAT part should not be able to show. So that again is an enhancement from our side that happened from the deployment that we made. And of course, we know that is internal in our business, but we acknowledge, and it is work that is currently ongoing. Back to you, Lou.
Thank you so much, Liz Vera. I can actually see Veronica has raised her hand. Kindly, Veronica, can you unmute yourself and ask the question? Or should we unmute you on our side? Veronica? Okay. Veronica, you have been unmuted. Can you speak? Okay, thank you. So on to the next question. We have Liz. I have typed in my KRA PIN, branch ID and serial number, business type. I have selected general store and I still get an error. What could be the problem?
Maybe Liz wants to unmute so that she can elaborate and tell us the error she's getting and what she's trying to do, and basically what the problem is. From what she has said, I can't even identify what process she was doing, or ideally where is she stuck. So if I get a clear picture, then maybe you want to unmute her. Liz, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Hi. Hello? Shit.
We can hear you clearly, Liz.
You can hear me?
Yes, thank you.
So now I installed my the application on my laptop, right? So once you launch it, there's this page that comes saying system setting, right? The first step of it.
I'm not sure if I heard her clearly. Did you hear what she was saying, Lou? Maybe you want to
I'm
project
saying
for me? Yes.
once you launch the application, after I've installed it in my laptop, right?
Yes.
The
Yes.
first page you see, it's called, it's under system setting. So that's where you guys have put in the KRA PIN, branch ID, serial number, so that I can be able to initialize it, basically logging into the system.
Yes.
So that's the point where I'm stuck at. I've never been able to go past that. I get an error every time.
All right. So, Liz, I believe yours is very specific and we can sort it on a one-on-one basis so that we can be able to guide you. It's just more of guidance. We'll be able to confirm the serial number that you're putting, if it's the same one that we have from our side, and then we can be able to pick it from there. So, I will ask my colleague who is in this call, Martin. You can be able to pick Liz's details and then you'll be able to call her immediately after the session so that you can guide her step by step so that we can be able to facilitate her onboarding. So, Liz, I believe that can work well for you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So, just type in your details directly to the host, and then she will pick it and assign it to my colleague Martin for a follow up. Back to you, Lou.
Thank you so much, Liz. We do have Duncan Ouma. He's actually raised his hand. I hope you can be able to unmute yourself on your side so that you can ask us the question.
Okay, I've got 3 quick ones. The first one is regarding the optics of the eTIMS invoice. Can we make it more appealing by enabling the taxpayer to replace the KRA logo with their own logo on the invoice? My second question is, what's the ease of switching between the eTIMS software solutions? And finally, I expected that with this development, we would be able to, as taxpayers, we would be able to get auto-populated VAT returns so that we just review, do small amendments, then file. Are we over expecting from KRA, or this is something that's in the works? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Duncan. Those were straightforward questions. And I'll pick from the first one. You're saying that you'd like us to work on our UI UX so that our interface can be more appealing, it can be better, and even allow you to custom make it to what you want. And yes, we get your feedback, but the option of custom making and also doing what you want is available in the VSCU and OSCU. So for the system that we are having, it is internally developed and we are not allowing taxpayers to edit the interface. But yes, we can take a few feedback and enhance here and there. But if you'd like to custom make it into your own preference, then we'd advocate that you do the system to system integration so that you can be able even to custom make from your side. The other part is that you're asking how easy is it to switch from one device to the other. You notice that when apart from the taxpayers who are in services and are using the web portal, the installation is device specific. So whenever you want to or you want to change from one device to the other because of one reason or the other, like maybe your device has crashed, you lost it, or any other reason, then we require you to make pre-authorized, you get pre-authorization from us so that we ensure that all invoices have been transmitted. We do some due diligence so that data is not lost from your side, and also there are no gaps in between. So the process is very easy. You just come to KRA, and I insist on any KRA office, and the change can be facilitated. Remember, for us to install it on a second device separate from the one that we had approved, there has to be some changes in the system. So that's why we require you to at least notify us on mail or calls or even come physically so that the change can be done. In terms of ease, I will say that anybody in this forum who has gone through the process, there has to be some compliance check that has to be done from the KRA side. And I guess that's the norm even with other compliance checks. So you are asking when the auto population will be ready or if you're expecting a lot. Actually, auto population is at the tail end. This has been ongoing, and there will be a team that actually will come back and tell you how your data will be auto-populated and what will be expected of you. So again, this is one of the benefits that we had highlighted, and it's one of the big success stories that will be talked about when eTIMS story will be told. So I can assure you that hands are on the deck to finish this up, and we'll be able to come back to you and advise on how this will work. Back to you, Lou.
We do have another taxpayer by the name Gilbert. Gilbert, can you please unmute yourself so that you can ask the question? Gilbert, can you hear me clearly? Could you please unmute yourself so that you can ask the question? If not, we can actually move to Mercy. Mercy, I can see your hand is up. You can unmute yourself to ask a question. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Mercy. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Thank you, Mercy.
I'm based in Mombasa. I was applying for my eTIMS. I started last week, and up to today, I've not managed to get my credentials. The issue being the number that I was supposed to get the OTP, I was not receiving the OTP. So the officials suggested that I change my number to another number that I can easily access, which we've done now for the last 2 days. And up to date, I've not gotten the credentials for me to even write an invoice. So I was just asking, how long does it take for one to get credentials so that they can be able to fully use the eTIMS system? Thank you.
Thank you, Mercy, and we understand your concern and, of course, your frustration. And in this discussion or meeting, I'm joined with my other colleagues. I will also bring them in the Q&A session. So I'll give that question to Caroline Bagara. You can unmute and answer, Mercy. Caroline, if you're here. Caroline, yes, you can unmute. Caroline? All right. So as Caroline prepares to take the next question, I will just take it, Mercy. So if you change a phone number, ideally, we should be able to facilitate a change from our side. So if that was not done again, the host will take your details and then we'll call you and then we'll facilitate the same because it's taxpayer specific. So we might not be able to understand what the challenge was from this forum, but ideally, it takes, if you have had a change of number, then we do it from our side, and within 24 hours, you should be able to receive your OTP because we've not had complaints of delays in OTP. So again, we'll take your details and then my team will call you after this presentation so that you can be facilitated. Back to you, Lou.
We have Marlon. I can see his hand is up. Marlon, can you unmute yourself and ask the question? Marlon?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you clearly, Marlon.
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Yes, we can hear you clearly, Marlon.
Okay, thank you. I have two questions. The first one is how do I reset the password? Because the only password I have is the one that the KRA guy helped me when he was setting up the system for me, the one he put in. So I needed to, because I've not been able to log again. And then the second question, so with eTIMS, does it mean that would want an ETR, like the receipt? Thank you.
Marlon, I was struggling to get the last question. Maybe you want to pardon the last question?
Okay, the last question is,
Yeah.
what happens to those customers that would want an ETR receipt?
All right. So the first question was on password reset, and the next one is what happens to taxpayers who'd like to get an ETR receipt. So
Yes.
for password reset, remember you once you log into the system, you can be able to now change from the password that the officer who was helping you put, so that you can input yours. And in your taxpayer profile, there's a bulb-like icon or menu. You just need to go to the drop-down menu and you can be able to change your password. Then the next part is what happens to a taxpayer who needs an ETR invoice. So maybe I'll take you back to, if I understood your question well, the invoice that is being generated from an eTIMS software is a valid tax invoice. So by saying an ETR invoice or receipt, what do you mean? Because if you already onboarded eTIMS, then the invoice you will generate from that platform is a valid tax invoice. Unless an ETR invoice for you means something different from
What I
what
meant,
you'll generate. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm talking about ETR, like the actual paper, because if I'm using the laptop, how do I print it?
You just need to connect your laptop to a printer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You just need to connect to either Bluetooth printer or the normal printers, and then you can be able to print.
Okay, that's okay. And then, sorry, back on the password. Yeah, I've never been
Yeah.
able to log in ever since he said, because he told me, like, I even got the text saying this is password and everything, but I tried logging in using that, but I couldn't log in.
All right, that's fine, Marlon. So again, Lou will pick your details. Please ensure you directly message the host, your details, your phone number, and then now we will make it taxpayer specific. We will call you and guide you one-on-one so that we are able to get where the challenge is, so that we can be able to facilitate you. So just directly
That would be
send
fine.
your phone number. Sorry?
Thank you so
All
much.
right. All right, Marlon. Back to you, Lou.
Thank you. We do have Brian Martin. I don't know if you can unmute yourself, please, on your side, so that we can get to have your question.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yeah.
No, my question was, I successfully set up the eTIMS, working well, but I had a question. Since it has some limitation in terms of reporting, is it okay to use it as an ETR generator, but do our accounting separately on our other software?
So I'll give that question to Martin Osoro. Kindly pick up that question. Martin? No, he's Martin Osoro. Martin, are you in the forum? Yes, Martin Osoro. Yes, kindly unmute and answer Mr. Brian.
Thank you. So just to answer Brian's question, the eTIMS software is ideally invoicing software. So we just expect you to run your invoices through the software. But for other functionalities of your business, I think it's okay for you to use a complementary system, just as long as the complementary system is not used to invoice.
Okay.
But to do your accounting and whatnot, I don't think the law disallows that.
Are there any future project to integrate the same with eTIMS so that we don't do the double work. Currently, we're doing it double.
I
If we
think
could integrate eTIMS to other softwares, we'll be doing
I understand.
only one. Yeah.
I think Liz Vera, when she was talking about the eTIM solution types, she mentioned something called VSCU and OSCU. So for those two particular solutions, integration actually happens. You can integrate your system straight to KRA servers. So you maintain the functionality that you have already on your system while being able to transmit the relevant VAT data to the authority. So that might be an option you might want to consider.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Back to you, Lou.
Thank you so much for that assistance. We have one question from George. For people who offer engineering, repair, and maintenance services, it becomes difficult to categorize the labor aspect in the offered stock categories in the eTIMS. George, what is your question? You find it difficult to categorize the labor in terms of eTIMS. Liz, can you help me in regards to that? Can you actually understand the question?
So I'll just, even as we wait for George to maybe unmute and clarify, I hear what George is trying to say. And if I heard you correctly, you're trying to identify the labor services in our categories, whether from level 1 to 5, but you're not able to get them. So currently, if you're not able to find whichever service you're looking for, you have an option of searching with a code. And the best way to know the code is just to go to, I'm going to share the UNFPSC code link with us so that you can be able to be guided on where to get the specific codes. So you'll find a broader category. And the good part about eTIMS is that once you get even the broader category, then on the invoicing part where you're giving the description of the item, it will be item specific. So the category might be broad, but when you're generating the invoice, it will be item specific. So we'll give George a chance to unmute and maybe to clarify better, even as we move to the next question. Back to you, Lou.
Thank you so much, Liz Vera, in regards to that. And we have some of the taxpayers who have tuned in to KRA TV, and we have Chia. She has a question. So one can change device after eTIMS has been installed. Can you clarify that, Liz? And also we have Marlon, but first we could answer Chia. Okay.
Yes, so the taxpayer is asking if you can change a device after an installation has been done. And yes, we are confirming that you can be able to change a device for one reason or the other. But what we require from the previous explanation that I have given is that you should be able to notify us in writing that there's an intention or you intend to change the device. And then there are certain compliance checks that will be done from our side so that we can be able to facilitate the same. But yes, you're able to change a device from where the software was initially installed. Back to you, Lou.
Thank you. I hope, Chia, you have been answered to satisfaction. We do have Marlon Birbir also on our KRA TV. Is there a way to reset the password for Windows? I have a problem logging in. And then I'd like to tell you, kindly just look on the chat box. I shall share the link to joining into KRA TV. If you have other people from other spaces who are having issues joining our Zoom, we are actually live on KRA TV.
So Lou, we had already answered that question. So we'll pick the next question. Thank you, Lou.
Gilbert, you actually have an opportunity to now ask the question. We've been waiting for you eagerly. Thank you. Gilbert, we can actually give you 2 minutes to just prepare the questions that you have. But I can see, James, your hand is up. Kindly unmute yourself on your side, and we are ready for your questions. Hear me clearly? James, can you hear me clearly?
I hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Now the floor is yours, James.
My question was just about I think my question has been asked, and maybe the answers will come with our emails we have put in place. But the one is a delay in the password reset. Then two, a colleague of mine, I've heard him speak of the ETR. I think the element of ETR is the clients who want the ETR receipt, not us as we generate an invoice on eTIMS. We know it's valid, the QR code is there, but our clients, some new clients will ask us, where is your ETR? Where is your ETR receipt? That has been a query, even in terms of us having delayed payments, especially for new clients who are used to traditional typed invoices, and they want the ETR. And also another issue I'd like to ask is that when we were onboarded on eTIMS, our invoice numbers had been serialized up to a certain number. But when it came to eTIMS, you find that, for example, my company, we had our last invoice in the system about 1,087, and eTIMS starts at 1. So currently, my invoices are maybe up to number 53. So what happens to my accounting system, where I have the last invoice before onboarding on eTIMS as number 1087, and then the following invoice going to the same client becomes invoice number 1. And in their system, because I've been serving them for a long time, they have a similar invoice number in their SAP system. So payment becomes an issue also. Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. And I'll begin by addressing the last one where you're saying that initially, before you onboarded eTIMS, you had already been using your invoicing system and your invoice numbers had reached a certain number. And when you onboarded TIMS, your invoice numbers began at 1. So it is straightforward and very clear that you onboarded eTIMS for the first time, and you did not integrate eTIMS with your invoicing system. So eventually your invoices had to begin with 1. So it would have been a different story if you had onboarded VSCU or OSCU and integrated your system to our system. So in this case, I don't think there's much that can be done from our side because you onboarded for the first time, and that is the first invoice that was transmitted to us through eTIMS. So I might not be able to understand why your clients don't want to pay you because your invoice is starting from 1. But from our side, it has to start from 1 because it's the first time you are onboarding eTIMS. It's the first invoice you're generating. Otherwise, our system has no communication with your invoicing system so that we can determine the next or the subsequent invoices, because we know that invoices are generated sequentially. So that is the valid reason why we cannot be able to continue with your invoice numbers. And then you also said that taxpayers want ETR receipts. So maybe then now this brings us to the point of defining what is a valid tax invoice or what is an ETR receipt. So initially with the ETR devices, people used to call it the ETR receipts, and that has been the common name. Even the ones generated from eTIMS, taxpayers call them ETR receipts, and there's no right or wrong name. At the end of the day, if a taxpayer educates their customers and their clients know that a tax invoice generated from eTIMS is valid, and there's no way a taxpayer on eTIMS will get you an ETR receipt. Remember, initially we were having the ETR devices and we came to TIMS compliant devices, and now we are on eTIMS. So it might not be physically viable to get an ETR receipt because the endpoint is one. It is a valid tax invoice. So unless the client wants to elaborate reasons why he would not accept an ETR and an eTIMS generated tax invoice, then at that point I'm not sure how best that can be handled, because it's like a taxpayer telling you that they want as an invoice generated from a previous system. Yet this is a valid system, and they know, unless there's something we are not getting, which you can still enlighten and you can still bring us up to speed. And then
No, I
yes, go ahead.
agree with you. I
Yes.
agree with you. I think I do understand. But as you're speaking, also a question that is very important has just come in, or in my mind. We have these clients who are tax exempt, like NGOs.
Correct.
Now we, as a service provider, our colleague also asked about the codes for services in the system. You know, you have to search for a code, either manufacturing, either engineering, or something. And the client wants the invoice to have a narration of what is in the LPO. For example, I work in the service industry. Let me just put an example of fabrication and installation of a belt conveyor system to the ship. That is what is written in the LPO. But when I come to the eTIMS system, you find that it will fall under maintenance or manufacturing, and the narration doesn't appear. And these LPOs you are given by clients, it has items with amounts. Item one, the belt conveyor number one has 300,000. The chute number two has 10,000. Number five has 11,000. So they want to see item one in the invoice, item two in the invoice, but the eTIMS doesn't, or maybe we don't know how to incorporate all the items of the LPO into the invoice. And then that's one question. Then the second question is these NGOs, they are tax exempt, but they'll tell you, you give us an invoice, we will seek KRA to give us tax exempt maybe after 6 months. So it leaves us in limbo. Where do we fall? Are we waiting for the KRA to give an exemption certificate to the NGO, then they give me, and yet I'm supposed to have a provision to raise an invoice that is tax exempt? Thank you.
Sorry, so you have very valid concerns, and this now even changes the discussion now. So the first point is that you're saying that you have very specific items that you're selling on eTIMS, and the codes are not specific as per the procurement documentation that you have been given by your business partners. And again, I'll go back to this is a matter of enabling you as a user. So when you're selecting the item code, remember those codes do not appear on the description of the items. When you're selling this particular products on eTIMS, you are provided with the provision of giving the actual description. So the codes just help you to identify the broad category, but in the description of the invoice, then you're able to be specific and give an actual description of the service or the good that you're selling. So maybe we can enlighten you and take you through the process of just generating an invoice with the specific item you're selling, because we cannot know the specific thing someone is going to sell or the specific thing someone has been contracted to supply. So that's why our system has that provision. Sorry, so maybe you can give us an opportunity to teach you, or rather to show you how it's done, if that's okay, because it's a provision that is there. And then the other question you had was on the other the other obligations and tax rate, where you're saying some of your clients are exempt, zero rated, and they give you the exemption certificates after 6 months or even way after. So again, we throw it back to you. The system only allows you to exempt taxpayers where there's an exemption certificate or they are listed in the first and second schedule of the VAT Act. So if they are not in either of the two, then the taxpayer should be able to provide you with documentation on the same. It would not be easy for us to know that so and so is an NGO that is exempted until they have the documentation from KRA and they supply you with the same. So I guess it's a matter of you liaising with your customers or your business partners to have the necessary documentation so that you can be able to invoice them properly within the time frame that will also allow you to claim for input tax. James?
Yeah, thank you so much. You have answered me well, but I can assure you we really have it. We have difficult times, especially these UN organizations, their system, their procedures, and their protocols. So sometimes we end up giving an invoice with a VAT, and we suffer with that. Anyway, we will follow it up from other sources so that we can be assisted. But I'm glad you've helped me.
Thank you, sir. Back to you, Lou.
We have Gilbert. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, Gilbert. It seems there's a hitch on his side. I can see Mujivane. Is it possible to send the customer a copy of the eTIMS receipt, especially from the phone?
Thank you, Lou. So Gilbert is asking if you can be able to share a copy of invoices generated from the phones. And even in my presentation, I made it clear that for the phones, currently you must have a Bluetooth printer to generate the tax invoices. But an enhancement is underway to enable taxpayers using their mobile phones to download and share to their taxpayers, either in soft copy or even they can be able to share on mails or on WhatsApp, whichever way they're comfortable. But at the moment, you're required to have a Bluetooth printer to be able to generate and get the tax invoice physically. Back to you, Lou.
Thank you. I do hope you've been answered your question, Mujivane. And we have Kiosk. Kindly, can I get the recording of this training? I came in late, it's okay. You can actually log into KRA TV. We shall send the link on the chat box. You can actually click on the link to log in onto KRA TV. We are on YouTube live also there on KRA TV, for KRA TV, I mean. And we also have our social media pages, KRA TV on Facebook and Stories za Ushuru on Instagram. I hope I have answered you. And now we have Marion. We have Marion, and then I'll go to Grace next. You can unmute yourself, Marion.
It's actually Marlon.
Sorry, Marlon. My apologies.
Okay, yeah. So I have a different question. You see, the business I'm currently running is a quarry, and the application was installed on my laptop. Now,
we can hardly hear you.
Problem getting a printer there. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Marlon. Hello.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yes.
My panelist was she could not actually
Can you hear me?
hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you please be audible?
Okay, so let me try.
Okay.
What about now? Can you hear me well now?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Marlon.
Okay, so the question is, hello?
Go ahead.
Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead.
I had learning is a query. So the query is usually very hard.
Actually, Marlon, you're breaking on your side. Can you kindly type on the chat box? I shall read your question to the panelists for her to answer you. Okay. We have Grace. I was
Sorry?
taken through the training. Marlon, I'm requesting you to actually type on the chat box for me to read your question because you seem to be breaking on your side. We have Grace. As I said earlier, I was taken through the training online only once. I try using it, but I get stuck along the way. Where can I get the retraining? Do you mean the eTIMS training, Grace? Kindly clarify on this to be specific. What topic on eTIMS? Then we do have Joseph. This is for you, Liz Vera. I did an invoice on non-VAT on each year with VAT. How do you cancel the VAT instead of crediting the whole invoice since this is increased my VAT to pay?
So if you make an error and you'd like to edit and you already generated the invoice on eTIMS, and I believe this is on eTIMS because it's different on Teams. So for eTIMS, you just required to click on the invoice and then you can be able to cancel the invoice, or you can be able to generate and cancellation is only for invoices that had not been approved. So if it had been approved, then you can be able to reverse the whole amount or partially by generating a credit note. Back to you, Lou.
Thank you. We do have someone from who's actually logged into KRA TV, as I said earlier and requested all of you to log into KRA TV. This is Alois Mukoma. Are these two OSCU or VSCU launched? If yes, how do we get verified by KRA and integrate the same to our customers?
All right. So as we had talked about the OSCU and VSCU, those are the system-to-system integrations, and we have two categories. We have third-party integrators who are helping third parties to integrate, and we also have entities who are doing the self-integration. So the information is on our website for public, and it's in public domain. You can go and check our specifications that are out there. So you can follow up if you want to be a third-party integrator. We have a we have a sandbox environment where we allow taxpayers to do the testings. And once you qualify and you pass the prerequisites, and then you'll be required to come and do a practical demo in our offices. And then from there, you'll be given guidance on what happens next after the authorization committee has sat and other factors have been looked into. And that's it. So the information is on a KRA website and anybody can be able to get the specifications. Back to you, Lou.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Liz Vera. We have Grace Kamuyu to answer you back in regards to the eTIMS training. Understanding eTIMS, we have a couple of trainings. This is not the first training that we've done so far. So if you get to log into KRA TV on YouTube, you'll get to have a couple of trainings there where we have different moderators and different panelists who get to talk about eTIMS in depth. So it's for you to get one of the links, or we can actually share the link to KRA TV, official KRA TV on YouTube, for you to now get the content there. We do have, I can see a couple of, I can actually see Caston Magero. You've actually raised your hand up. So can you actually unmute yourself so that you can ask? In the meantime, I can actually also see some people getting to ask their questions. I do hope that your questions are being answered in depth or to satisfaction. I do appreciate that. And I also get to appreciate our interpreter. Once again, Cheptile, you're doing an amazing job. You're catering to each and every person. And also Liz Vera, this is amazing. Let's get back to you, Liz Vera, but can we just unmute Caston Magero for him to actually ask his question?
Thank you. My question was regarding the inventory. I was asking if we can have our customized inventory embedded on eTIMS, or is it not possible? Thank you.
I'll give the question to Duke. Duke, one of my colleagues here, Duke Onsongo. You can pick the question. Carry on, Duke.
Good afternoon. My name is Duke. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Kindly re-ask your question.
I was asking on the issue of inventory. We find that some of the goods or services we offer are not within are not listed in that of the eTIMS. So we were asking if we can embed or upload our if there is that provision, our inventory, so that it can reflect in the eTIMS system, or is it intact? Thank you.
Okay, my name is Caroline Bagara. I think Duke's computer has a challenge. Maybe I can try answer you that question. You can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, actually, Liz Vera had explained about in terms of the goods and services that you have, sometimes they're a bit broad.
Yes.
And this system, the eTIMS system, generally is a stock management module. So it's actually empty. So when we give you, it's like now you're supposed to fill in what you're selling. So what we are able to offer are the codes, the ones that Liz Vera said they will be shared. But when it comes to specifically, maybe be very specific on what you're selling, we have a provision of where you are able to put on item description on item. So the first thing actually we encourage the taxpayers is the moment we train you, the best thing is to go and do now that, like it's like stock taking. So you go fill all your inventory generally. You fill each and every, maybe if you deal with certain goods, let's say you deal with computers, go fill each and every stock from you in the system. So the moment you fill in, now you'll have all the records on what you do. And in case maybe you have to add in one or more, you can always add in when you have a new inventory. So the only thing you'll be doing from there is just stock adjustment. So when you're done with stock, you just go back and adjust stock. So that's generally what we advise. So the first thing actually you do is like, we call it like stock taking. This system we're giving you, we actually, it's not only an invoicing system, it's a whole stock management module. So for your side, you're able to take stock, and then you're able to fill in both customer and now the item descriptions. Now, and also she also mentioned, in case maybe that is maybe on your side is a bit maybe hectic. Now that's why we give an option of VSU. So we just integrate a system from our side with yours. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes, I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Yeah, and in case you have challenges, we are, each and every office, wherever you are, we have eTIMS experts. You can just pop in any of our KRA offices and ask for an eTIMS expert, maybe to help you in terms of now taking the stock in your system. So that is more of now item generation and all that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
There we have another question. We actually have Marlon has been able to communicate. He said he's been able to sort out his audio issue. Kindly unmute yourself so that you can be able to ask your question, Marlon. You're actually the last person as we wind up this session. Marlon?
Okay. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay. So the question was, my business is a quarry, yeah? Getting the quarry is a hassle. Plus, there's no power. And my eTIMS is connected to the laptop. It has been installed on the laptop. So now I've been thinking of changing it to maybe the tablet or something. So I wanted to know, before I change it, do I come to you guys or do I go to, because I'm in Nakuru, do I go to KRA Nakuru?
Thank you, Marlon. So for that, you don't have to come to Nairobi for facilitation. You can visit any KRA office that is next to you. Back to you, Lou.
Oh, sorry? Hello?
Sorry
Hello?
if you didn't get it clearly. I'm saying that you don't have to come to Nairobi for facilitation on that. You can go to any nearest KRA office so that you can be able to be assisted. Marlon? Lou?
Okay. Thank you so much,
Hello?
Marlon. I hope you've been answered. And also, thank you so much, Liz Vera. You have been an amazing panelist. I'll also like to thank you, the people who've been able to assist us during this eTIMS session. Duke and Caroline, thank you so much for coming through. And also Cheptile, the one and only Cheptile, our sign language interpreter. Thank you so much. And we also have KRA TV on the background. You cannot see them here. Thank you so much, Brenda. Thank you so much, Shomba and Sam. It has been an amazing session. I have been able to enjoy moderating this session. If you'd like to know me, my name is Lukundo Wamaningo, and that is how I get to sign out. Thank you. I'd just like to say something. I hope I don't know if you do know that this is officially the Taxpayers Month, and we actually have the Taxpayers Day on the 27th of October 2023. So I hope you'll be able to attend and get to tune in to KRA TV on that day, because it's going to be a very important day for you as taxpayers. And just because it's Taxpayers Month, I just need to check on two people who've been actually raising up their hands for quite some time. So we just have until officially 12:55, we get to close with a word of prayer from Liz Vera once again. So Clinton Adaki, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. The training was quite insightful, though I'll have a recap on it because I missed the larger part of it. My question is, for multiple businesses, can we use a single device like a laptop to have the eTIMS configured for all the businesses which have different pins?
Thank you. Sorry for the short silence. We had a network connectivity, but we're back. So you're asking that if you have multiple businesses, can you be able to install the eTIMS software on one single device, like one laptop? And that might be or might not be possible depending on the scenarios I will give. So if one of your business is selling a service and the other is selling goods and services, then yes, you can be able to do invoicing for the two separate pins on one computing device. But if the two businesses or the multiple businesses are engaging in both goods and services or goods and goods, then ideally you cannot be able to install the application for two different pins on one computing device. And this is the reason, because when you're being onboarded, you have to provide for a serial number that is specific, and because the database is local and it's stored on that particular computing device, that's the restriction we have at the moment. But I can assure you that with development and of course with feedback and technology, we are looking into that. But at the moment, that is the current state, and that is what we are advising taxpayers. Back to you, Lou.
Thank you so much. I've been actually trying to look for the last person. It seems that it's almost lunchtime. I do understand we need to respect time. We can just actually give this back to you, Liz Vera, for the closing remarks. And then once again, the one and only Cheptile should actually pray for us. Yeah.
All right, Lou. So mine is just to thank taxpayers for taking time off their busy schedule to come and attend to this meeting so that we can learn from each other. And this was, sorry, this was a very interactive session. It was not the normal presentation where someone presents and it's a Q&A. I appreciate the engagement that we had in between and you asking questions and getting clarity. And this is what we mean by facilitating taxpayers. So for those people who had issues and have already sent their details to the host, we will be able to reach out to you so that we can be able to solve your issues. And my parting shot is just to tell you that technology is here to change everything. So as we change things, as everything changes, I would just like you to be receptive so that we can move forward as a team, because without taxpayers, we cannot be able to collect taxes. So thank you so much. And to the people, my colleagues who also helped in the Q&A, Martin, Duke, and Caroline, we appreciate you. And of course, the one and only, we also appreciate you, and the moderators. Back to you, and thank you.
Let's have a
Okay,
word of
thank
prayer.
you so much. Cheptile.
Let's pray. Father and our God, we want to thank you for this meeting. Thank you that it has been a success. We pray that you may help us remember what we've been trained on. We pray for a successful transition, even as we have a new technology here in KRA as eTIMS. We pray that every resource that you have might become an impact to each and every taxpayer. For it's in Jesus' name I pray and believe. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cheptile. And Chia was actually asking if there are any goodies during Taxpayers Day. I'd like to request you, just tune in. You shall see the goodies. They might be sent maybe where you are. Sawa? Thank you.